Everybody and their cat has asked me to do an episode on Andy Timmons. It's not true, but quite a few of you have requested this, and that's what we're gonna do. This is episode 2 of What Can We Learn from This Player featuring Andy Timmons. Hello, my name is David Wallum and welcome to episode 2 of What Can We Learn from This Player. This series of videos is not about learning licks, but it's about active listening. And in this case, we're going to take some samples from Andy Timmons. So glad we're doing that today, and we're going to try to extract from it some things that we can use in our own playing. Now, before we get started, I would like to invite you to check out my free DNA course. It's completely free. It will help you analyze these concepts the right way and understand why they work so well. It's available at guitarinfusion.com. I'll tell you a little more about it later. But for now, well, let's get started with this first sample. So good, right? You want more. I know you want more, but this is enough. There's a lot to unpack here. This is the song Cry from, I think it was released in 2015. Well, actually before. It was re-released in 2015. We gotta listen to it again. That is what introduced me to Andy's music. This was back in, I think, early 2000s. There was this thing called the internet that kind of came out. And I don't know where, but this video was circulating. I think it was for Ibanez's ex's anniversary, I can't remember. But anyways, Andy was playing this, and that's what made me fall in love with Andy's music. Pay attention to the phrasing. We're going to define phrasing in just a second, but now what is phrasing? I'm not going to get into it. There's a lot of different answers, but to me, phrasing is the way that you can deliver something. I can tell you, go grab the apples, or go grab the apples. Right? Two very different ways of saying something. And this right here is Andy's phrase. Just a few notes. Da 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 ba bum bum. Okay, very simplified here. And instead of just playing it that way, there's a lot of articulations that happen here. And that's something that is recurring in Andy's playing. In its simplest form, this is the phrase that Andy is playing over this C# minor 7 chord. But that's not how Andy is playing it. There's a lot of articulations in there. This is how Andy's really playing that phrase. So what do we do with this? How can we use this in our own playing? Well, we need to ask ourselves the question, what is appealing in this idea? Well, maybe nothing, but for me there's a lot of appealing things. And one of them is that repetition of notes. There is a note that is played in 2 areas of the fretboard. So we're starting here. And it's this one that is repeated right here. So these 2 pitches, one on the 3rd string, 6th fret, the other one on the 4th string, 11th fret. Yes, they're the same pitches, but one is a little brighter than the other. Whenever you play a pitch that is closer to the neck of the guitar, it's going to be a little bit brighter. Let's take this E, for example. This is the darkest E we're going to hear in terms of tone. On the low E string 12th fret, closer to the bridge here. It's going to get a little brighter if we play it right here on the 5th string, 7th fret. You hear the difference? And even brighter right here on the 4th string, 2nd fret. That is very close to the neck. So these 3 notes in order. Right? And I think that's what makes this particular idea so appealing. There are really only a few notes, but playing in different areas of the fretboard. Let's listen to this sample one more time. That first pitch is a little bit brighter, and then it gets a little lower, a little darker in tone. And we'll hear this throughout the different samples. We'll hear some variations in the bright, dark color. Most listeners are not going to be aware of that. But when you listen to it, when you listen to a player who understands this, or maybe instinctively plays this, you're going to feel it. It's going to give you just a sense of expression. And that's a key word for Andy's playing, expressive. He's very expressive. Okay, let's work on this concept just a little bit more. So I'm just going to freeform jam on that C# minor chord, minor 7 chord, C# minor Aeolian, pentatonic. And I'm going to explore different areas of the fretboard, keeping in mind that a note is going to be brighter towards the neck. And I'm going to try to repeat some of these notes. Some dark notes, some bright notes. It's going to give you a sense of expression. Here's another really cool, expressive part. The same song, a little bit further down. Again, just a few notes. But the expression and the way that it's played is really remarkable. What we can take out of this one, and that's another characteristic of Andy's playing, is the way that he bends and vibrates those notes. Okay, right here, that last note, da 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 da, bam. Listen to that one, ba. What does he do here? Da 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 da, bam. It's approached by a prebend, biam biam ba 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 bam, biam ba ba bam. Listen again, biam bam. It's bending down from a note. It's very subtle, but it makes a big difference. The phrase itself is very simple, just a few notes. But the way we're going to approach these notes are going to make it our own. So this is the way that Andy does it. That note right there, that is that's not something very natural to play when we're descending. Typically, when we descend, we'll just descend that. We won't do it. Something like that, but try that on your own. So here I'm on the first string. We're playing over an E major chord. First string frets 16, 17, 19, and then we're going to play that pitch of the 19th fret, but with a bend. Now this bend is a little difficult. I'm going to use my middle finger and release that. And then here, instead of just playing the note on the second string, 19th fret, I'm going to pre-bend it. It's very subtle, very fast. But that's what he does. It's harder to play, but so much more expressive. Let's hear that one more time. You can feel the notes. So how do you work on that? Well, just with a vamp, one chord thing, E major, for example, and just jam over this and try to approach each note a little bit differently. These pre-bends make a huge difference in the expressiveness of an idea. This sample right here is from actually my favorite Andy Timmons album, and you can hear those pre-bends and those things done to the notes. This is from the album Theme from A Perfect World, and the song is a sample from a song called On Your Way, Sweet Soul. Oh man, it's so expressive. There's a lot there. At the beginning, you hear that pre-bend. It's not ba-ba-da-ba, it's ba-ba-pya-bam. Let's try that, pya-bam, and let's try to apply that to our playing. We're playing over an E major chord here, and it's something along these lines. So we're doing something to that note that is quite weird. It hurts a little bit. It hurts the index, the flesh of the index here, but in essence what we're doing here, we're not doing a pure pre-bend. We are actually starting from the pitch of the note. I had to re-listen to that, but I think he's starting from the pitch of the note, and then a quick bend up, and then release it, and then it's followed by a slide down to this note right here, to that E note on the third string, a ninth fret. So you might practice that a little bit, almost like an Indian type of feel. And the the wrist is kind of like doing this movement. See, I'm kind of bending my wrist a little bit. It's not quite on the finger, it's really the wrist. Let's try that several times. Oh, no. It's going to take me a little while to get to it, but I think the key to getting it right is just to listen to this several times to really have the feel in your inner ear. Oh, it's so good. Let's move on to another aspect of Andy Timmons that I love, and it's his way of expressing himself with volume. See, oftentimes we think that in order to convey a message, we need to speak loud through the noise. No, that's not Andy's way. Andy is this gentle, subtle voice that you will pay attention to. Take a listen to this sample, you'll know what I mean. This is from the song The Princess from the Spoken and the Unspoken album released in 2010. You know what I mean? You see those notes? What did you pay attention to? Well, kind of everything, but this in particular. Did you hear that bend? I can't sing it. That wow, very, very subtle, but so good. Almost like this little treasure you want to lean in and embrace and be in it. I love this. Oh my gosh, that is so expressive, so good. I don't know how I'm gonna play this, but I'm gonna start with my volume not all the way up. I'm gonna put it maybe 3/4 to have a little more range as far as attacking this, and then looks like he's let's see, what key are we in? I'm always gonna make these noises when I hear Andy's music. It's so good. I got lost. It's so good. Hang on. Okay, he's playing this over a C major and then going into the A minor. So A minor pentatonic is going to work. And how are we going to play this? I don't know. Man. Something like that. I don't think I'm going to use my neck pickup in here. I think I'm going to use the position 4. Right, yeah, between the middle and the neck. Just more expressiveness, I think. Yeah, something similar to that. So the attack is very important here. See, instead of attacking every note the same, I'm gonna attack the first one kind of, if a note at its fullest is 10, at 0 is nothing, I'm gonna attack this note at maybe a 7. And then the next note, a 5. And then the next one at a 3 or a 2. That's the volume, right? The virtual volume that I'm giving to my mind. Something like that. And you know, I think he might be sliding to that note. Bottom line is, don't attack a note at a 10 right away, because from a 10 you can only go lower. But if you attack it at a 7, maybe, you'll have more range. And it does help to play a little bit with the volume, not start at full range, just start, you know, a little bit lower. You can play with the tone a little bit, the pickups. Just experiment. What gives you the most expressiveness in your playing? What will help you? For me, again, it's position number 5, a little bit lower on the volume. Making faces like that really helps. Just play a little bit with that attack. Let's hear it one more time. It's so good. You feel that? I feel it so much. Here's another sample. Same song, a little bit further, and pay attention to these differences in volume. You heard that? You really have to lean in to listen. I think that's almost like intentional. I feel that, or I imagine that when Andy was playing this, or whatever he plays, he wants you to really listen to the story he's telling you. Don't miss any details. That's what's happening here. And you can do that with any lick. So if you have a lick that you've been playing for a while, try to recycle that by adding those nuances, and also maybe the other thing that we gathered from his playing, where pitch can mean different things. It can be bright, it can be dark. All those things are expression-driven things, and it's really important. You can do that with themes too. He does it here, A Night to Remember. You hear the brightness of some notes and the darkness of others. That's very bright, like open. That note is probably played kind of thinking about towards the neck. I'm exaggerating, but that with the differences in volume makes this theme really stand out, I think. Very expressive. That last note, ba-da-ba-bum, da-da-ba-bum. Something along those lines. All of Andy's themes are fairly simple as far as the choice of notes, very melodic, but simple, which is a good thing because you can relate to what he's telling you musically. But the beauty of this is really, well, again, that word, expression, making these notes your own notes. You could ask any guitar player to play like that theme that I just played. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-bum. You would recognize Andy's touch right away because of the way that he feels the notes. I think if you had to take away one thing out of this whole video, is feeling the notes. When I started playing, I didn't really get that. I thought that was kind of like a hippie, weird thing to say. Well, a note's a note, but really no. If you put your soul into a note, like really, that note is gonna come across as something powerful and emotional. It's just like words. We all have vocal cords. We basically all have the same type of body, but we use it in our own way. And I think it's not just physical subtle differences in us. I think it has to do with the essence of our being, the uniqueness of who we are, coming out through our stories, our words, our actions, and it can come out of our music too. And I think Andy's really embracing that. Okay, let's take a look at another aspect of Andy's playing that I think can be very beneficial for all of us. I'm talking about this. I think a lot of you recognize this, and probably a lot of viewers got to know Andy through this song. Electric Gypsy, classic, kind of a Hendrix-y vibe, which, by the way, we will have an episode on Hendrix soon. But this right here is, well, yeah, Andy's chordal work with a little bit of dirt in the sound that allows him to kind of blend the rhythm and the soloing. It's all blended together, which it should be that way. So what do we have here? We have the melody, da-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-bum. That really stands out, but also the chords. And it's a very Hendrix-y type of approach. You hear it in a lot of Hendrix songs, Little Wing, Castles Made of Sand, all of those classic songs. But here what we have is something like this. Something along those lines, and this is something that I remember when I started playing guitar, I was just amazed at how a chord, open chords, a C major chord, could sound like a lot of other things by just adding or subtracting, taking off a finger from the fretboard. This is the kind of thing that Andy's doing here. It's like an exploration game. When you start playing guitar, you have your C major chord and then remove the middle finger. That's kind of cool, and then put it back. Kind of the same chord, but a little different. Add your pinky just underneath the ring finger, and that works too. And you just kind of experiment moving these fingers. And you see all these paths that you can take to embellish a chord. And that's what's happening here. We've got a D major chord, but Andy's playing it right here. Same thing, right? Where we have the ring finger on the 3rd string, 7th fret, and then the index is on the 2nd string, 5th fret. And then maybe you can leave this open or not, do a bar, and then you kind of embellish. I think that's the best way to approach this. Instead of learning all the different inversions, just try something, add a finger. If it works, great. If you don't like it, we'll change it. And the chords here are very simple. We've got a D, and then A, where we're doing something kind of interesting here. See, we've got this melodic thing, but we still have the A, and open strings really help. And then we've got this B, and then the G. But that kind of playing, very Hendrixly, is very melodic. It blends really both worlds of lead guitar and chord together, rhythm together. I think that's a mark of great players, just like Andy, where there's not this weird compartmented way of thinking. And that's what I had when I was growing up. In my teens, started guitar, I think I was around 15, and I wanted to be the lead guitar player. For me, rhythm players were lesser guitar players. I don't think like that anymore, but I really thought that lead player was there and rhythm player was here, but really it's all together, it's all connected, not only in the way that you're playing rhythm or songs like Andy's doing here on this beautiful Electric Gypsy, but also when you approach lead where you're really thinking of the chords and really highlighting those chords. Here's another song here. This is from an earlier album. This is the song Resolution. A lot of open strings here. We hear both things. We hear the chords, but also the melodic line. Very simple, but played so well with so much expression. And you know where he does this a lot? If you want to hear Andy do this, well, you should check out his Andy Timmons Band Plays Sgt. Pepper album, where he's basically transferring some Beatles songs into guitar instrumental. It's a beautiful song, and the Beatles, like their songs, fit this type of music so well, so melodic. Check this out. This is a sample from With a Little Help from My Friends. The line gets really blurred, right? Between lead and rhythm, and you can easily transition between both like that. Okay, let's check out one more aspect of Andy Timmons that I think you really should implement to your playing. Good, right? That approach, 16th triplet attack type of thing, where you have this ascending thing. Oh, this, by the way, the song is Turn Away from the album This Was Then, This Is Now, released in 2015. That is something that adds so much excitement to a note. You're approaching the note with that fast drill, making that note even more impactful. Damn, you remember it more. So it's very sequence-based. Let's see if we can figure that one out. Wow, that I didn't catch that at full speed. That bend, it's actually a vibrato done with some bends. He goes really high up there. Wow, that's cool. Okay, that's not the point. You hear the 16th triplets. Okay. Sometimes when I want to figure these things out, I will focus on the last note, which is clearly a bend. In this case, we're playing this note right here, which is on the 2nd string, 14th fret, full stop bend, and then that vibrato at the end. Something like that, slow speed. But I'm pretty sure that we're doing a 3-note per string pattern here because the 16th triplet notes, they lend themselves really well to that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, bam. Da, da. So that last note, ba, 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 ba. So we're just gonna go down. 1, 2, 3. Just use your ears. 1, oops, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I don't think we started at the right place. We're probably starting here on this pitch. Let's check. Yeah. Yep. That's what we have. All right, he's playing it faster, but now we know how it works. Yeah, much faster. But that's the idea. At least we extracted from it the idea that there is this fast ascending thing that makes that last note a little more valuable, a little more impactful. And it's all about contrast in music, really. Fast, slow. If you play the whole thing fast and at some point you have a slow thing, well, the listener is going to really be drawn into that slower thing. If you play everything slow and at some point there's something fast, be drawn to the fast thing. So it's not necessarily fast or loud that means better. It's really about that contrast in music. Okay, last sample, same thing here. You'll have this contrast really, really fast and then the note that is really going to speak to you. Well, hopefully, it definitely spoke to me. This one is from the song called It's Getting Better. Aha, you know what's coming next, right? Well, maybe not. If not, you should definitely check that song. But same thing, same concept here. Very sequence-based. And then the speed up at the end. Just repeated. So let's see if we can figure that one out. I'm slowing it down here. Okay, the first thing that I gather from this is that it's very sequential. The first idea, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 notes, 16 triplets. And then the next 6 notes are repeated a little bit higher in the scale. Same, it sounds like it's the same sequence of notes. Yeah. So if we could figure that first one, we'll go with comfort. Da 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 da. Bam ba 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 bam. I think that's what he's playing. Da 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 ba bam. Da 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 ba bam. I think that's what he's playing. That feels more comfortable to me than something like than this. So I'm gonna play this, which is the lead finger, the finger that kind of like does the whole starting point, starting movement. The anchor is the index here on the 4th string, 9th fret. And then I'm gonna go on the 5th string, play frets 12, 10, 9, 10, and then back to that lead finger. So just get used to that. Yeah. We don't need to worry about speed right now. We're just going to repeat this a little bit higher in the scale. So we need to figure out where the second series of 16th note, 16th triplet note starts. Da, ba, ba. Okay. Ba. So it probably goes up here to the 12th fret to the 4th string and then starts the sequence over. Yeah. Oh. Well, that's why my name's not Andy Timmons, but that's kind of the idea. I think that's kind of what he's doing. I could develop that. I'm not going to. It'll take me a while, but that's kind of what I gather from that particular sample from Andy's playing. Now, these are just samples like this type of thing. You recognize that in quite a few of Andy's work, and that's the thing with these active listening. You start gathering some very unique characteristics of these players that you can take and not clone. If you do, then you're just going to be a really good imitator don't do that, because if you do, you're really short selling yourself. I've always believed that there's something very unique and interesting in each one of us. And if you don't explore that, you're really short selling yourself, and you're making a disprivilege, made up that word maybe, to the world. We want to hear what you have to say. Anyways, that's what we had for episode 2. I really hope you like this. Check out guitarinfusion.com for a free training on the music theory DNA, which is something that I made up completely, but it really works all the time. So check that out. Be on the lookout for episode 3, in which we're going to feature Jimi Hendrix. And if you want, you can also click here to watch episode 1, in which we covered Joe Satriani. Thanks so much for watching. If you have suggestions as far as other players you would want to see covered in this series, and if you want to see this series develop into more and more videos, let me know below. Thanks so much for watching this. I will see you next time.